This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
BooBaes.
Hi.
Hey. Hello,
Hello.
and welcome to
BooBaes.
BooBaes. That's right. We're your hosts. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Joshua.
And today we are here to talk to you about move a tiny bit. You're moving big bit. When I say tiny bit, you move a tiny bit. Name that movie.
Stop motion.
Yes, but that is not the movie I was quoting.
What movie? Wait, where were you quoting?
The Rocker.
None of my bit. I don't even know what that movie is.
It has Rainn Wilson from like The Office, who plays like Dwight. He plays like the naked drummer, and it's got
like legit.
It's got a young Emma Stone, and then it had Teddy Geiger in it, but Teddy Geiger transitioned, and I don't know her name now.
I unfortunately didn't even know who, or I don't think I knew who that person was before their transition.
You remember the song, I'm going to muster every ounce of confidence I have, a cannonball into the water.
I unfortunately do not know that one.
Oh, that was their most famous song.
I think that fortunately for you, Teddy Geiger still goes by Teddy Geiger. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm looking.
I was thinking that could be the case because I was like, I really don't remember what.
Yeah. Yeah. Still goes by Teddy Geiger. So you did not thankfully offend anybody in that instance. Probably due to because like they're famous, and Teddy also kind of is very
an androgynous name.
Androgynous name can lean both ways.
Yeah.
Teddy is short for, of course, Teddy
Theodore.
Bear. I'm just kidding. Stop. Stop. Galen, no. Or Theodora.
Theodora.
Or just
Theodorus.
Theodorin, the Dorinopoulos, the Dorinopoulos Rinaldi the Third, Queen of Genovia.
Mia Thermopolis.
Yeah, but today we are talking about stop motion
2023.
Yes. This movie was as Caitlin described it, a fever dream. So a little kind of honestly warning, because warning too, because if you're like don't like squeamish stuff or don't like gory things, this is not for you, because it is pretty gory. Not in a like murderous way. Well, I mean, it does. Well, actually, yes. But like even just like the animation, the stop motion, it was kind of
it's grotesque.
unsettling for looking at. Yeah, it's grotesque looking.
Yeah, and so it's directed by Robert Morgan, starring a few people: Aisling Franciosi.
That's the best is it's gonna get from you and me, who plays Ella Blake,
and then Kaolin Springall, who plays the little girl. I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Stella Gonnet.
That's the person who plays Suzanne.
Okay. Jazz Hutchins,
which is the mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just called her mom the whole time.
Same. And then Tom York is Tom. And
yes.
We have
James Swanton as like I think he plays the Ash Man.
Mhm. And a few other people: Joshua J. Parker, Jazz Hutchins, Bridgetta Roy. The only person that I think I recognize, the girl who played Polly. Like, I feel like I've seen her in something.
Who's Polly?
It was the blonde girl who stole her film idea.
Oh,
I've
Tom's
seen her in
sister.
Tom's sister. I've seen her in something. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, she did look familiar. Maybe she just has one of those faces though.
So she was in The Witcher.
Oh, okay.
And I guess a couple other movies that I do not recognize. Yeah, but anyways, yeah. Anyways, she's such familiar to me, but yeah, the movie is an hour and a half, so it's not too long. It's pretty digestible. Other than the fact that it's grotesque, so maybe wrong
Yeah.
choice of words.
Because
But it is.
it's not necessarily easy to get through. Like
No,
watching
no.
it, there were certain times where I finished the last of it this morning and I took your advice. I watched this movie in 3 chunks, so that's also probably why it feels like a fever dream because it starts incredibly slow.
Mhm.
And I gave like 10
It's the
vials of
build.
blood yesterday morning.
That
And
probably also added to that
yeah,
experience.
so I
Yeah.
like passed out. Not like physically passed out, but I like fell
Yeah,
asleep.
you just slept. Yeah.
And so like I was watching it and then I was like and so I stopped watching it and then I watched a little bit last night with Andrew and he was like, "No." He hated this movie.
I was watching it and I was watching it with Jaden, and Jaden also was just like, "Mm-mm, can't," like 30 minutes in, like the other day. So I had to
Yeah.
finish it on my own. And
Yeah,
then
Andrew called it garbage and said some movies are better not made.
Uh, and this is the
I
director's
thought that was
feature-length
harsh.
debut. So, and even I was feeling a bit harsh when saying, like, even the like the clay things are gross, because like some person might find them kind of beautiful, I guess, if that's like what they're into. Some people are into that shit.
I
But
thought they
like,
were kind of cute.
right? I literally am thinking of
I
you.
was like,
Um
"Oh, they're kind of so ugly. They're cute."
Um, but even the noises that they were adding and giving them, and like the like squelching and kind of the
Yeah.
like very ominous breathing, added to the like creep factor of them. They just like, even
Mhm.
her, the main little girl that kind of looks like Ella herself. It looks like a nasty potato, if that makes sense. That
Yeah.
like then they like put a face on, and I don't know, but that's kind of harsh too, I guess. I feel like, because it's like, I mean, it's really honestly in watching it too, because this movie, it's called stop motion, but it also gives a good amount of actual using stop motion in itself, because we're telling a story through an artist who uses stop motion animation. And uh I mean, learning that even like the armatures and all that stuff that goes inside of that, like, that's pretty cool. And so it's really intricate, and it's really an art for them to do,
Yeah.
someone to make. But
It's super
we
cool,
see
super time consuming.
we see though that I love how I can see her tail in the corner. What is she doing?
Oh, she's up on the top part
Yeah.
of her.
Hi, mama. Okay. Is that Suki?
That one's Yams.
That's Siam's. Oh, okay. Yeah,
Suki's
okay.
the fluffy tail one.
That's right. I do notice too, her face is a little wider in the middle.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it uses a good deal of stop motion, but so it's a cool art form, and it really kind of put it on display. I feel like, in a way, I was like, okay, I didn't know that. And to also see like the mom and hers dynamic, and then it translates to the little girl and whatnot, and how they're like just like move it like 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters, and
Mhm.
yeah, like you said, it's very time consuming.
Yeah, it does take quite a long time. I've made a stop motion like film myself for like Instagram reels before.
Mhm.
Well, before reels were a thing, but like a little Instagram video, and it took me forever.
Mhm.
So I can kind of feel their pain. Mine was not
Internet
nearly as intricate, but
Yeah.
I did still do it.
Internet content itself takes forever.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
But this is like a Shutter production.
Mhm.
And it starts with this image of like an egg thing of sorts. Like, I don't know what it was, but
A blue egg.
a blue egg. Yeah. Cause it like
Mhm.
kind of hatches / shatters at the end.
Mhm.
Um, but we start with that image. And at first, I wasn't certain that the movie had started
Okay.
until it showed back up later. And then I was like, oh, okay, that was part of the film.
Yeah, like it almost
I
makes it
just
look like
wasn't
one of
sure.
those production company, like, little things that happen before movie
Yeah, I
starts.
was waiting for like a production company name to like come
Yeah,
up on it
but
or something, but it never did. But then we start in a rave of sorts with a girl, or at first I couldn't tell if it was a girl or two girls, but it was just Ella changing faces, like facial expressions
yes.
the whole time. So
Yeah.
she would go from like serious face to like weird smiling, and like it was like there was like two people inside of her.
The
Exactly.
the strobe lights were doing a really good job of making it like you were having a
Yeah.
really hard differentiating because even I thought I was like, oh, it kind of looked like a different person as well.
Yeah, I was
But
like,
then you
a girl
realize,
or two girls? I don't know.
well, I
Until
really,
Ella
it,
came in later.
yeah, it gave to me that they like probably filmed her doing like 10 different things and then they just like cut up.
Spliced them all together.
And that's why it
Yeah.
looked so like, yeah, it was a bit, it was really cool, honestly. And then, yeah, we start the movie that way. She's just in the strobes, and then we get like the title card.
It's a
And
very
it's like,
shaky title card. I almost wish it would have like spelled it out or something in like a stop motion way, like brought
I
up
get what
the
you mean.
S and then the T, and like, or the whole word stop motion, but it like brought it up on the screen in like a stop motion movement
Instead
way,
of just like a little like,
a shaky hand camera.
yeah, I can see
I
that.
think that would have been pretty cool, but not my movie.
Not your movie, but you know what? We can't critique the movies, so
Yeah.
that would have been something. But honestly, it did kind of give like afterthought. Excuse me.
Mhm.
My bad. It gave
Like, "Oh,
afterthought.
you're
Like
right. We have to put a title card on this.
we have no money
Eh,
left.
just,
Yeah.
wiggle it around a bit."
It gave like rose art or clip art, not rose art, clip art from like, back in the day when you would
Oh,
have
yeah.
art from the very basic like Microsoft
Word.
Painter. Dude,
Oh,
remember
yeah. Or
Microsoft
paint.
Painter?
Yeah.
That was funny. That's back in the day. Ooh, showing our age. Okay, anyways, and so we are then going to we end up we're filming a Cyclops. We have this little Cyclops wax figurine thing.
Felty kind
Mm-hmm.
of figurine, yeah. And the older lady, who we later find out is Ella's mom, is saying that we need to do it again. Like,
Again,
the shot wasn't right, and so we need
yeah.
to get something else.
Mm-hmm. And Ella is basically like her hands because we find out that the mom has arthritis, and
Mhm.
she's like had this really long career being this stop motion animator, but unfortunately in this last film of her life her hands have failed to be able to take her all the way. So Ella's basically like the vessel in which her creativeness is getting to be outlet. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't speak right
Um,
now.
and so we're figuring out that Ella is, like we said, the hands, and tr- she tries to like they sit down at one point and she tries to like bring up ideas, but doesn't she's not able to say them like to her
Hmm.
mom.
Yeah.
And she is just kind of like, we find out later, like her mom describes her as a puppet.
Yeah.
And if someone's not pulling the string, she'll never. It's super harsh. I mean,
whole
of
movie, I
course
felt
it was
bad for her.
yeah. Of course it was a like hallucination that her
Yeah.
mom told her that, but like she believed it because like at the end of the film, she goes back into the box
Mm-hmm.
like the puppet she is.
Yeah.
Which I
think
thought
it's
that part was really cool. I was like, oh, I get it. She's a puppet.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
We'll be right back after these quick words from our sponsors. This is Rogue Media Network.
Indulge in Blum's luxurious lotus flower rolls. The green lotus roll bursts with a caramel apple flavor, while the blue lotus roll offers a smooth berry cream sensation. With our Crush for Flavor technology, enjoy an instant burst of natural, intense flavor anytime you desire. Elevate your experience with the finest creations nature has to offer. Explore the full collection at blumleaf.com. That's BLUUMLEAF.com. Blumleaf. Golf Partner, the world's largest golf store network, offers more purchasing opportunities than anywhere else. With a dominant market share and a wider selection of quality secondhand golf clubs than our competitors, we make it easy for you to enjoy the game with affordable, top-quality equipment. Join us at golfpartnerusa.com and discover why we're the trusted choice for golf lovers worldwide. That's GOLFPARTNERUSA.com. Golf Partner.
Introducing Muck Off's classic pink bike cleaner, powered by revolutionary nanotechnology that breaks down dirt and grime on a microscopic level while protecting your bike's delicate finish. Developed by our mad developer Alex and tested by riders, our products are made by riders for riders. Discover more at us.muc-off.com, where we break the mold to bring you the best in bike care.
Since 2003, Bluehost has been empowering people to harness their brands online with innovative web hosting solutions. Trusted by over 2 million users, we're the longest-running WordPress.org recommended host. With Bluehost, you get a safer, better web experience, supported by the world's most popular site builder, and backed by our commitment to open-source projects. Visit Bluehost.com today and take your website to the next level.
And now, back to our show.
And so like all of that, like metaphor and all of that stuff ties in really nicely. And also like the whole like that also interweaving between like, because we transition between a lot of this going between the relationship between her and her mom, and then the relationship between her and the little girl, and you realize that she essentially ends up creating the same role between the both of them, whereas like you said, she is the puppet. And throughout, she's so cute and fluffy. I just want to
This
Switch
one's
paw.
Suki.
yeah, that's Suki. Hi,
She's the
Suki.
one who hid from y'all the other day.
She's so cute. Is she adjusting?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
She's just having the best time.
Hi, baby.
You say hi, Suki. Say meow. Yeah.
She's
Oh,
with some
don't-
love.
Walk on that.
She said, "I'll walk on the keyboard."
Yeah.
but yeah.
She's gonna accidentally close this out, and then we're gonna be fucked.
Mm-hmm. They have like dinner after, or no, it's already like the next day, I think, right? After this,
Yeah. So she basically, I think they have dinner. We find out that like, this is kind of where we can really see that the mom's hands are like, because she's cutting up her meat for her and stuff.
Mhm.
And then she goes and meets up with some friends.
Yes,
Right.
That's the nighttime. She goes and meets up Tom and Polly.
Yeah. And
And
stays
some other
and
person.
like, and Tom is her partner of sorts. But then they're like they're talking, it's clear that Polly is in stop motion too, because she's showing like a stop motion film that she's working on to the other people at the table. And yeah, but then she goes back, her and their Tom have like sex or something. Segs. But they do that, and then she like is in the bed and she says, I have to wake up, like I have to get back before she wakes up.
Yeah.
And so it was like, oh, you can kind of get more of their dynamic and like what they mean to each other. And
very codependent, like symbiotic, almost like you can tell like she's almost might even be like that type of relationship, like
parasitic.
she might be parasitic, yeah, or she might be sheltered even in a way, in a sense where like her mom always kept her like close to her.
Yeah, and can't know that she's out like doing those things with
having a life.
Boy.
Like, yeah, like, you know, being normal. So, yeah, totally can get the way and how we get to where we get to in the craziness later.
Yeah.
But it's you know, it's giving like Bates. It's giving like she is Norman Bates.
Yeah.
And just a twisted version. And so we have her then getting back to home, and she gets back, she gets in bed. And before this, you know, they were kind of having a conversation where he's like, why don't you like create a movie of your own? Like, why are you still helping your mom? And she's just like, well, like I can't basically make anything. Like she doesn't have any ideas. She can't make anything. And I think this is all kind of too, probably, I don't know if it's because of what she believes, like her lack of self-confidence, or maybe the relationship with her mom plus that, but like she literally,
yeah, I feel like her mom kept her in a box, like not literally, but like
even like stifled her.
Yeah, her whole life, and it was like, no, I'm the creative one. I'm the one who does all this. You're just the grunt work. Very manipulative, and
so sad.
Yeah, it is sad. But basically she gets home and she gets into bed, and then mom pops up and is like, time to get up.
Time to get
Wake
to work.
up, time to go to work. And I was like, damn, man, she just got home.
I've been there before.
Yeah.
Talk about that literally. But anyways, we have her making breakfast for them. And then that's whenever it's where her mom is like, or was it the night before where the mom was eating like the steak, like all like that?
Yeah, I think it was like a really thick piece of bacon.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. And then her mom, and they get into the room, and her mom's like, "Oh, is Puppet's grumpy? Puppy didn't sleep last night."
Yeah, Puppet.
And she helps her mom basically get this whole picture started. Their setup, what they were working on, I guess, the day before. And her mom's like a super cold, hard ass bitch.
Yeah.
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 But also, I don't know if also all of it was as true as it was, because I guess you're right. Some of it was
she has a mental break
from also, but also like, because what was that as well, where she's just like, move it, or she like, it almost sounded more demonic in a way.
Yeah,
and then the lights went out.
The electricity is buzzing. It's like flickering and going in and out. And then the mom is like, don't move a muscle. And it's like going down, and she's like, what is happening? Like she's trying not to move because her mom's yelling at her not to move a muscle. And then mom goes down and had like a stroke of sorts, and then this is where like I really kind of confirmed, like, okay, yeah, she's got like real bad arthritis in her hands, because they like mention it at the doctor's office.
Yeah.
And then she slips into a coma.
Ow, mama's out.
I thought she died. I was like, did she die? Because of the image of her whenever she gets this next image that happens whenever she goes back over to Tom's house, and she's at Tom's house, and she looks at the living room floor on the carpet and sees her mom laying there. And then all of a sudden it flashes to this like decaying image of her mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, almost like in the essence of like the bloodied up like meat puppet looking things
Meat
like
puppet, yeah.
she makes. And so you can tell off the bat, like, we're not okay.
She's slipping.
We're not all there. And the boyf is just like, the whole time in the movie I called him boyf, BOYF, the boyf.
I actually called him Boyf as well at one point. I'm pretty sure.
Boyf, really, like just boyf. Yeah, he was boyf.
BOYF.
Yeah, boyf. I actually like it. I'm gonna start like boyf. I like it. It's got a good
Come here,
ring to it,
boyf.
the boyf. Come here, boyf. So that's the boyf. But anyways, he's kind of trying, to like, keep her together and stuff. And it's just like, also like, I don't think you should be working on the movie. And she's just like, no, I'm gonna go back and finish. And he's like, but she's like, also like, I don't want to like be here in the same place where my mom, like, passed out and fell into coma. And so he, like, I guess somehow also he is able to, like, he rents studios or I don't know, apartments. He has an abandoned apartment that he gets her set up with.
Yeah, a very creepy setting.
Yeah.
For the rest of the film.
Also, just an apartment that she can just fucking dirty the fuck up because she just
because she trashed
all.
it.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, he has her set up in this place, and this becomes her new art studio essentially, so she can finish the film. And then at this point, after getting her into the new place, and she tries to get the film started. Is this where like the little girl, she sees her in the building or something?
Yeah,
on the stairs.
we hear the little girl in the hallway singing,
Mm-hmm.
and that draws her out to go see like what's going on. And then the little girl comes up and she's like, "What are you doing?" And the little girl is nosy as fuck.
Yeah,
I was like,
most
"What is
kids.
this little?" Yeah, but I was like, "Girl, tell this kid to get away!" Like,
I think
because she comes up and she's like, "I know a better story," and I was like, I would have been like, "Bitch, sit down."
Get out. Yeah, you're like 11. Also, and like earlier, we forgot to mention that I guess we had seen this girl on the stairs when she was moving in. Forgot.
Yeah,
because it happens very briefly, and the little girl like gets in her way. Like,
oh yeah, like gets in her way, and then like she's like, "Excuse me," and then she steps to the side and goes up. But
yeah. So already off the bat, the little girl's kind of weird.
Yeah,
And also the neighbors were also
kind of a
weird.
brat.
Then yeah, very much a brat. And the neighbors were a bit weird too as well, because there was two that she saw like in the stairwell, and they kind of like look up at her as she looks down at them.
Yeah,
And I kind of like, I don't know if it alluded to her like making them up or if they were just like also being weird. I don't know. But
yeah,
then we have the little girl, like you said, with her and asking like a million questions and saying like, I know a better story, and trying to she's basically like, oh, and then like she's basically telling her like, why do you even bother making like these films? Like, why do you even do this shit? It looks dumb.
yeah. She was like, "This, so it's a cartoon."
Yeah.
is what
Oh
she
yeah.
said.
Oh,
And
I remember that moment she says that, and I was like, why didn't Ella be like, no, you little dumb bitch, it's not a cartoon. There's a really big fucking difference.
this is stop motion animation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was shocked that she was so well behaved with this kid around her like precious work.
Mhm.
Because if a little kid came in and like started picking up my armatures and like fucking with them, I would have been like, "No, please, like that is all that I have." Oh, is Millie here?
Yeah, she's
I thought
down
I
here.
saw her jump off the bed.
She jumped down here. She's saying hello. She's
Hey,
rubbing up my
Millie.
leg. Hi, mama. She wants her food. She's going to her bowl.
She's like, good little pass through for some pets, and then she's gonna get the food.
Like, there you go, you guys.
Aw, little Millie.
She's a good little girl. She is honestly
Just
like
saying.
so well behaved.
Yeah, she is. She is one of the best cats.
And so
But
Yeah.
yeah, the
I'm like,
little girl says she knows a better story.
knows a better
Basically.
story. Yeah. And the little girl, does she explains, does she start to go in about it? Right? She starts to tell her about the woods, right?
Yeah, she says there's a girl in the woods and she's scared.
Mhm.
And then, oh, she just got out of the litter box. She's smells like litter. Yes, thank
Oh.
you.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
We'll be right back after these quick words from our sponsors. This is Rogue Media Network.
It all began with a simple idea, cutting handles off old ski sticks to create better pull-up bars. This sparked the creation of the revolutionary Engels 90 handles. After testing over 70 prototypes with 300 athletes, our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
At Covers & All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. Using advanced tech fabrics that are 100% waterproof, UV tear, and abrasion resistant, we ensure lasting durability with hand-sewn double-stitch seams. Our commitment to quality, precision engineering, and customizable options is unmatched. With vertically integrated operations and express shipping, we deliver premier protection at affordable prices. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
At Open Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels, our rebounders improve accuracy, control, and technique in both sports. Built with premium materials for durability and ease of use, they're ideal for training anywhere, anytime. Whether you're perfecting your soccer game or sharpening your lacrosse skills, Open Goal USA has you covered. Visit OpenGoalUSA.com and elevate your training today.
Chapellex is a full category shapewear brand dedicated to providing women with exceptional comfort and support. We offer thoughtfully designed solutions that blend style with functionality, empowering women to feel confident and at ease every day. Chapellex is redefining what it means to have a perfect body. Our mission celebrates body positivity, embracing every shape and size, because true beauty lies in authenticity. Visit shapellx.com today and join a movement towards self-love, acceptance, and confidence.
And now, back to our show.
Fun.
She
She wanted to
smells like-
share with you.
Yeah, she's like, look, Mom, I'm stinky. We need to their litter's at the we clean it,
Yeah.
but it's at that point where it needs to be fully changed.
Yeah.
But my Chewy subscription doesn't come in for a week, and I'm like, no, we kind of need to change it now. So I need to just go buy litter from the store because it's
Cool.
just to the point where it needs to be fully changed.
Okay. After the fact, later on at some point, can you send me what is the best litter or your experience or whatever you use? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I just
It's
use I have a picture. I'll send you a picture of it because I forgot the name immediately. But yeah, so there's this little girl and she says to at one point Elle is rolling and balling up the mortician's wax in her hand. And the little girl was like, you should make a doll out of this. And so then she's like, what, out of mortician's wax? This is just to mainly hold the things in place and stuff and help, not move them too much. And then she's like, well, make a doll out of it. And so she does. We fade from the red curtains in the background of the
room
Cyclops scene into the forest, into the woods. And then we see that she's destroyed everything and made the story the little girl spoke of.
Yeah, because the boyfriend comes back, and he's like, oh, someone's been busy. And you can see that everything's different. And she has this completely different set. And she obviously doesn't remember doing it. She has time, we have time slipping happening. And her doing something that she doesn't remember, because it is completely different. And um, she's okay with it because she just like ends up pushing play on the movie that she's created, and she sees, what she's created so far, and she just like smiles, really weirdly, and it's just like, all right. And so then she ends up, I think, visiting her mom in the hospital because she's still in the coma.
Yeah, and this is
And
where I was like, okay, mom's not dead. She's just in a coma.
she's in
But
the
like
coma.
at the end, the little girl or someone says there's someone coming. So we know that there's more to the story.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
That's gonna unfold. But yeah, back in the moms with the coma.
And so she's there. I think what she gets a little update from the doctors or something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
But then we quickly come from her being there to her going back home, and that's whenever Polly comes to come see her.
Yeah, and she throws out the set, so it makes it like kind of official that she's like done with her mom's film and has like moved on. But yeah,
Mhm.
Polly's there and has come to check up on her.
And she's just kind of at the door, and it's a little awkward at first, weird, but then, because Polly is like, "Oh, is that a new project or something in there?" Hell is like, "Oh, and so do you want to come in?" And she invites her in. And she goes to check it out, and she shows Polly the project, and Polly is like, "Oh, this is really cool. Like, you should bring it into my studio." And I was like, "No, this is kind of like this is this is my movie. Um, uh, but thanks, love." And then Polly's just kind of being Polly, they're talking, but then Polly leaves. And I'm trying to remember why Polly leaves. Oh, but Polly also says something really important because she says, "Oh, like what are you tripping on?" Because whenever I get my best ideas whenever I'm like tripping off
Tripping my
something,
tits off.
tripping my tits off. Yeah.
Yeah. And then she leaves. Um, and then the little girl shows up and she says, I don't like it. She's like, it's not right. And so she goes to the fridge and then she pulls out a slab of meat and then she's like, make a new girl out of this meat.
Hmm.
And she's like, what? And she's like, you told me to use mortician's wax. And then she's like, no, make it with this meat.
Yeah, and the little girl's weird as fuck too. And then she's just like, make it out of meat because it'll look more like lifelike, essentially.
Yeah.
It doesn't look real enough. She'll say that at other times too. It doesn't look real enough. And so she's kind of like, nah, like I don't want to do that. And also she's like, you can't like do that. Like I've already, made half the movie with her looking like this or whatever. And then
She's like, well, just say she's changing.
yeah. And then that's whenever she basically just succumbs to it because she's like, okay, like we'll end up doing that. And she ends up making her out of the meat. She puts the meat onto the little armature stuff and then makes a whole little new girl.
Yep, with meat and mortician's wax. So very freaky, again, grotesque
She looks wet.
image. Yeah, very like slimy, like almost like a person who's been skinned.
Do you remember, or did you ever see X-Men, like the first X-Men movie?
Yeah.
Do you remember whenever Senator Kelly, he comes back and he has been changed into like a mutant after Magneto like changes him, but he's like watery based.
That
Do you
sounds
remember that?
vaguely familiar.
And then like he ends up back at like the professor mansion and he ends up just like blobbing into water.
Yeah,
Like
that sounds.
that's what it basically
It's
kind of
been years since I've
reminds me
seen the
of.
fird X-Men, so.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. It's very like those blob fishes with like the nose.
Oh yeah, a blobfish, cute.
Blobfish, yeah.
Those doggies going crazy.
Oh, you can hear that? Sorry, hold
Yeah.
on. Let me do something real quick.
Dookie Bear.
Okay, hi. Back. I just had to tell them very politely to stop
Shut
barking.
the fuck up. Oh.
Mhm.
But yeah, so she makes the doll. And then the little girl goes on to kind of tell the story, and she kind of picks up where she left off earlier with there's someone coming, and it's a man no one wants to meet. And the Ash Man is searching for her.
Searching for her, and that he comes on 3 nights.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He will come on 3 nights. And then she's on the phone with her boyfriend, with Tom. And we find out that this is where I found out that Polly was his sister, because he's like,
Yeah.
can you tell your sister not to visit me? Sorry, I burped.
That's okay.
She was like, tell her not to, like, just don't tell her what
Show
I'm
up.
doing. Like, don't tell her not to show up. And then we find out that she's supposed to meet him at some party.
Mm-hmm.
And then so she goes to bed, and we then get again he will come on 3 nights, and all of a sudden there's 3 loud knocks at her door, and she's like, what the fuck? Because this place, I believe he said it's like getting like ready for demolition or something, or like renovation, like hardcore renovation. And so that it's basically abandoned, minus like a few people. And
it's like nobody should be there, essentially.
Yeah, nobody should be there. But she opens the door and looks out the door, and it's the little girl with a mask on her face. And this is where I clued in that the little girl wasn't real.
Okay, yeah. It started to hit you.
Yeah,
I mean,
I was like,
other
is
than
she
that,
a ghost? Is what I wrote. And then I was like, and then later on, Andrew at one point was watching with me, and he was like, is she a ghost? And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because they play it. Oh, her little noise was so cute. I love their little noises.
Yeah, she makes a lot of little chirpy sounds. Yeah, hi.
Aww.
You're a good baby. Yeah, mama's gonna pat your little butt. Like a little baby you are.
She's so cute. Oh, and so yes, we have that happening. The little girl's being a dick because she woke her up in the middle of the night. She's just trying to sleep. And then
I know. And she's got that scary mask on.
Scary mask. And then
I was like, I thought it was she was saying the like Ash Man that she built. Because I think she built the Ash Man at this point.
Yeah, they had an Ash
Man.
Man.
So I thought that it was the Ash Man, and I was like, oh, no, 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 no. And then it ended up just being the little girl in a mask. But
oh yeah, because they named it an Ash Man because the closest thing in the room, there's an ashtray and it had ash in it. So
yeah,
there's that. But then is this where she like wakes her up just to take her out because she's like the dead fox? No, that's after the party. My bad. That is no, that is before the party.
Yeah. She says we need to use something dead for the Ash Man, and brings her down to the dead fox.
She's like, I found this. And then that's when Ella's like, no, like this is too far. Like we don't need that.
Fucking weird.
Yeah. And then that's whenever the little girl acts like a little bitch because she's like, well, fucking fine. Like make your movie without me then, bitch.
Yeah. She's like, I won't tell you the rest of the story. And then she was like, it's my movie. And the little girl's like, is it? And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
The little girl just told her up straight. And it was yeah. It made me be like, I just wrote oop a lot.
I love how she's just letting you hold her.
She's a little baby.
Millie will let me hold her, but only for like 10 seconds. And then she's like, she wants to wiggle away.
Yeah, she doesn't normally like to be held. She just, right now, she's like, I want to be in mommy's. She's in little baby mode, as I always say. It always happens when we're recording.
They're little babies always. And so then, so she's up. So she's like, you know what? and I think she's like, all right, she's mad because the little girl was like, whose movie is it? So she goes and she tries to work on the movie. And then she realizes, like, you know what? I don't have any fucking ideas. And so then she decides to go to the party, and she just shows up to the party and isn't there for like a minute and just goes to find Polly. She's like, you got drugs? And then
Yeah.
Polly's just like, here you go. And she's like, all right, thanks. Bye, bitch.
Yeah, she definitely was like, oh, and then at one point she is apologizing to her mom for not finishing
Oh.
the film, and that
Mhm.
she says she's doing someone else's story again, nothing of her own. But yeah, then she does the drugs or walks right up to Polly and is like, let me get them drugs. And Polly's
Yeah.
like, okay, here you go, whips them out. And then
Doesn't even pay her. And you're just like, all right, bye. Thanks.
yeah.
And isn't even like, all right, cool. Like, let's, how you doing today? How was your day?
Hi, how
Thanks.
are you? No, give me drugs.
Yeah.
Is all she does. And so she goes into the bathroom and you think she does the drugs because then she goes into a side room with it's got like this marionette doll playing on like a stop motion marionette doll playing on the projector.
Yeah.
And then there's this weird big-eyed girl saying, look for it, find it, Ella. Oh,
Very
God.
like Alice in Wonderland, like very like what am I trying to think of? Like, take the blue pill, take the red pill.
Yeah. And so like
It's giving like an acid trip, and then she's
yeah.
like ends up like having sex with, is it Tom? Is it not Tom?
I think it was Tom because she goes out into the hallway and like
Starts making out with him.
yeah, and she's like squishing his skin a lot, so much to the point where I thought she was gonna start like digging into it and like start taking his skin for the armatures.
For good.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just excited for Wicked.
Wicked part 2.
And so no, yeah, it's giving that. Hamaka, hamaka, namaka, hamaka, nama. Hamaka, namaka, namaka, namana. I don't know how it goes, but it goes something like that.
It goes like something's flashed from orbit. It's a dun 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 dun. I forgot the words.
It's okay.
Because I knew you. I have been changed for good.
And so, yeah, all this is happening. It's giving acid trip. She's having sex, maybe not having sex, because I went back and forth. And then we end up her like being in the corner of the room, and like someone like she's just observing the people at the party. And
yeah,
then, like,
and it's like a weird fever dream sequence happening.
Yeah. And this dude gets a beer bottle and then like smashes it over this guy's head, and this dude falls over. Then when he gets up, he's like got a gash on his head, and she just starts like digging her hand
digging her fingers in it. And because the whole time I was waiting for you to like, I was waiting for the part to where I shouldn't be eating.
Yeah.
And this part was like, okay, glad I'm not eating like jelly toast or something, like strawberry jelly on toast while watching.
Yeah. Because I guess up to this point, it wasn't as bad.
No, but yeah, like I still was like, okay, yeah. And then it's later on when she's, spoiler alert, digging into her own leg that I'm like,
and I also kind of thought that like her using the meat for like the little clay earlier might have like put you off because
yeah, because I'm
like,
vegetarian.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, let me get up there for a second. She is all that's happening at the party. It's really crazy. She's sticking her little hand in there, and the little girl shows up out of fucking nowhere. Just like behind her.
This is where I was like, okay, the little girl's a ghost for sure.
This is where I definitely was also is like, okay, this girl is either a figment of her imagination, or
she's not real, whatever the case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the little girl's controlling her, making her like feel more in the cut. And
So weird. And then we'll see. I also I have many points. I more or less thought the girl was like a projection of like her like younger self, like a
yeah,
trauma, some trauma. Because when she kept saying like the Ash Man comes and he touches her on the second, like I would thought this was gonna take like a whole different type of
yeah. No, I did
story.
too.
And
I
I was
can
like,
totally see that.
and I was like, oh man, like where is this gonna go? But then it didn't. But
Thankfully,
maybe it, yeah,
maybe it's an
may-
allegory for it.
or maybe it was. But then she decided to take back her power, and then it wasn't anymore. I don't know. But because a lot of that did give, like, I was like, well, this feels like some traumatic experience that she's like kept subconsciously, and now it's coming out. Now that her mom's like, in a coma, and she's like, I don't know, in charge of her own life right now.
Yeah.
But she is what is
She
it?
runs
Oh
back
yeah.
home
Mhm.
and she gets to the fox and the little girl's waiting there. And then she goes, the Ashman has to be made out of something dead. I get it now.
Mhm.
And so they take that fox up and they start cutting up this fox in the apartment. And then the movie kind of gets segmented, almost like it has chapters
Mhm.
by writing the Ashman first night or Ashman first night. It's almost like we
Oh
have 3
yeah.
chapters, but without it being like chapter 1.
Yeah,
Um,
and also starting like 40 minutes into the movie,
yeah. So
essentially.
it's an interesting take, I thought, and I was like,
Mhm.
I like that. Um, but yeah, so we get Ashman night 1, first night. She tries to hide, but he sees her.
Mhm.
And then while she's taking the pictures, the buzzer starts going off for her house, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the door buzzer, the alarm. Well, not the alarm, the fucking doorbell. Yes.
Yeah, like
And
somebody's buzzing her apartment to come up.
uh-huh.
Buzz me up.
Zzz. And so she's getting buzzed, but she's ignoring it. But then it gets more alarmingly louder, and then it just starts buzzing like indefinitely. And so then she goes to check it out, but then there's like nobody there. And then she like looks out the window, and I think she starts to see like
She
these
sees a
like
shadow.
shadow of footsteps, but it's nobody. But then she goes out into the hallway again, and she's looking out, and then she starts to see in the stairway down all the way at the bottom, and you can hear like the breathing of someone coming up. So she goes like she's getting back to her hallway, and then they're like basically it's slow, like it's very Jason like coming to get her, and then or Michael Myers, my bad. And then she finally gets to her bedroom, and then she looks into the key little eye hole peephole thing, and the Ashman is like blah, 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 like there.
Yeah, it was just
Uh,
the eye through the peephole. And we get 3 big bangs on the door. And while during the scene, like she did a phenomenal job of acting.
mhm.
Just when she was like
Oh yeah,
holding her face and stuff and just like the tears coming out of her eyes, it was so like visceral and just believable that she was scared out of her mind.
yeah.
And I thought she did a phenomenal job in this scene in particular. She did a great job throughout the whole film, but this scene I was like, damn girl, you killing this.
And also, where did the little girl go? Where did
Yeah,
that little girl go? Because that little girl conveniently be like popping out.
yeah, I was like because the buzzer goes off that last
Mhm.
time, and then I was like,
Yeah,
all of a sudden the little girl is gone. And
yeah.
Andrew even asked that while he was watching. He was like, "Where'd the little girl go?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's what I was thinking."
Ghosts.
He asked around this point when like she saw the eye through the peephole, but like I wrote it like 6 notes up.
Yeah,
Um, but just the eye through the peephole was disgusting. I
yeah.
was like, "Oh nope." It's like, ugh, it's just so scary. And then she's like, he saw me. And then Tom comes up, right?
Yeah. Tom immediately comes up because he finds her on the floor, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And she's like, "Oh my gosh, it was the Ashman." And he's like, "Girl, you're tripping because
You did the
she essentially,
drugs. And she's like,
yeah."
I didn't do no drugs.
And she never did, essentially, because she shows him the drugs like she never ingested them. And then she ends up he basically thinks like the movie's taking over too much of her life and her psyche, because like he's saying that because we're playing back essentially what she says happened to her like in the film, like
And he's like,
that
that didn't happen. You
yeah,
animated it.
yeah. And so he is like, you need to take a break. Like this is too much is going on here. And then that's whenever she goes back to his place and she like takes a shower, but then in the shower she has
Yeah,
this
she was
moment
like,
where
she was like, I need a shower. And I was like, yeah, you do. You just cut up a dead fucking animal.
gross.
Like, you should have taken a shower immediately. But sorry, yeah, she was taking the shower.
And she is like digging into her leg just to like, clean herself, and like she starts to like, she's like wax at this point now.
Yeah, she's digging into her leg, and it's like her leg is made of the mortician's wax.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And it was a bit
so this
freaky.
doll is her, kind of is
Very
what
much
they did
so.
for her.
Yeah. And then as she's doing that as well, she gets and lays back on the bed, and this little, as she's laying on the bed, the little wax girl figurine is like at the door and like
Yeah, because
walks
she
into
wakes up back in her apartment.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. But then the little figurine is coming up and like coming up onto the bed, and like it's like like crawling its little way up. And then it just starts ripping her open.
Yeah, which is so gross. And also, see, like I didn't even realize that was her apartment, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Like that's how much of this movie is so like fever dream, because I didn't even
Yeah.
realize that was back. But she was still with the.
She was still with the boyfriend, but like
But
had a
in this dream
that
sequence,
she was back
she's in
the
there. Yeah,
apartment.
apartment. Got it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because then she wakes up, and then she's still with him at the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And
because
then
he had
that's
like
whenever-
black sheets and she had like eggplant / brownie sheets.
and then they're like at like this restaurant, whatever, and he's basically trying to give her like a little like pep talk, essentially. And then that's whenever he doesn't bring up her being at his job just yet.
No,
No.
I think he brings that up whenever she's in the hospital.
After the fact, yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is whenever now she goes back and she's working on the film and she's with the little girl, and then we're hearing the story of like how on the first night he sees her, but on the second night he touches her.
Yeah.
And so this is when the movie started to really get like, I'm like, where is this gonna go? Is this gonna get like freaky in like a not cool way?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But it doesn't. And then she's like, fine, okay, I guess I kind of do need to get out of the house, because I think that's what Tom was kind of trying to say to her, like, you need to like take a break from this movie for a little bit and do something else. And so she's like, you're right, I'll go call Polly and do like work with her film studio. And she gets there and the guy is like, you're going to be rolling eyeballs for the animation company. And she's like, I thought I'd be animating. And they were like, and Polly's like, oh, sorry, I have something to go do. And like runs off.
Polly avoids conflict.
Yeah. And then so she rolls all the eyeballs like at 7 millimeters in diameter and stuff. And then she goes over and finds Polly talking to the director guy and realizes she's stealing her film.
Yeah, it was pretty fucked up.
Yeah, I was like, is she stealing her film? I like said that out loud. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I was pissed.
Yeah, and what's her face had every right to react in the way that she did, I feel like. Because Ella then like freaks out and starts like breaking it apart and breaking the doll apart, the armature.
Because what does she say? Like, I made it more mature, or I elevated it.
I smarted it up.
Smarted it up. Yeah, that's right. And I was like, bitch.
Yeah.
Who do you
and then
think
she was
you
like,
are?
and then she's like, I was gonna give you some money or something like that.
Yeah. And I was like, girl, no.
And even she didn't want her to see it anyways in the first place, because earlier when she first got there, she was like, it's best not to wander around, and like kept her from going off into that
Yeah.
area. Mhm.
Yeah. She knew what she was
She was
doing.
already being shady. Yeah.
Mhm.
She probably was never
Um,
going to give her money.
yeah, no, she probably just because she got found out, she was like, "Ooh."
Yeah, of course.
It was
Um,
pretty shitty. But then we're back in the hospital
mhm.
after she destroys the set, and she's taking stop motion of her mom's hand, like, and then her mom comes to life in this hallucination and says, "It's a
Yeah.
wonderful medium, isn't it? Bringing dead things to life."
And now, a word from our sponsors.
We'll be right back after these quick words from our sponsors. This is Rogue Media Network.
Indulge in Blum's luxurious lotus flower rolls. The green lotus roll bursts with a caramel apple flavor, while the blue lotus roll offers a smooth berry cream sensation. With our Crush for Flavor technology, enjoy an instant burst of natural, intense flavor anytime you desire. Elevate your experience with the finest creations nature has to offer. Explore the full collection at blumleaf.com. That's BLUUMLEAF.com. Blumleaf. Golf Partner, the world's largest golf store network, offers more purchasing opportunities than anywhere else. With a dominant market share and a wider selection of quality secondhand golf clubs than our competitors, we make it easy for you to enjoy the game with affordable, top-quality equipment. Join us at golfpartnerusa.com and discover why we're the trusted choice for golf lovers worldwide. That's GOLFPARTNERUSA.com. Golf Partner.
Introducing Muck Off's classic pink bike cleaner, powered by revolutionary nanotechnology that breaks down dirt and grime on a microscopic level while protecting your bike's delicate finish. Developed by our mad developer Alex and tested by riders, our products are made by riders for riders. Discover more at us.muc-off.com, where we break the mold to bring you the best in bike care.
Since 2003, Bluehost has been empowering people to harness their brands online with innovative web hosting solutions. Trusted by over 2 million users, we're the longest-running WordPress.org recommended host. With Bluehost, you get a safer, better web experience, supported by the world's most popular site builder, and backed by our commitment to open-source projects. Visit Bluehost.com today and take your website to the next level.
And now, back to our show.
And then she says, "What happens when it takes on a life of its own?" And
So now,
Ella,
this is the point whenever, like, how you thought the mom was dead earlier, not this point where I was like, okay, is the mom dead now?
oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she does die here in just a second.
But go ahead,
Sorry.
go ahead. Yeah, no, you're.
But yeah, she says, "What happens when it takes on a life of its own?" And Ella goes on to say, "I'm scared of what will happen if I carry on, scared of what will happen if I don't." And she says her mom like laughs at her and says, "The difference is I can control it. You can't. You can't control this like creativity and stuff that's coming to you." And then she calls her a puppet caught in her own strings. And she goes, "And if it isn't me pulling them, it's somebody else." And then she says, "But when the puppets are done with their play, they're put back in the box."
That's pretty intense.
Yeah. I was like, damn, you want to talk about some fucking like trauma and harsh
Psychological.
Yeah. It was fucked up. And of course it was all from her own mind.
Yeah.
But it's still like it must have been stemmed from her mother saying something similar in the past.
At something like that. Yeah, because that's what that gives. Because I mean, that doesn't necessarily just like brew. I mean, there is like, a low self-esteem and self-hatred, but like that's verbiage coming from other people. You know what I mean? Yeah. Someone really like building you down, or I mean, tearing you down. But yeah, so her mom says all this hateful ass shit, and then she ends up getting even more triggered, essentially. But then like her mom never even said that shit because she just imagined that in the first place because her mom's in a coma. So
Yeah.
anyways, all of this is self-induced. This girl needed a vacation. Needed a break.
And she needed some
Um,
therapy.
Literally. And so she ends up going back home because she's just like, she's over it. She's like, you know what? I'm gonna change the film because the little girl's back and she's telling her like, oh, like I'm gonna continue the story. Like he touches her on the second night, and then she's like, you know what? No, he doesn't. He comes
Yeah.
and she escapes, and he does not touch her.
And the little
Which
girl's like,
I'm
you
all for.
can't change the story. Yeah, I know. Definitely. And then all of a sudden everything rattles, like almost like an earthquake is happening.
Yeah.
And the electricity flickers in and out. And then she is like looking, she like kind of goes to the door and is like, what the fuck's going on? And then looks back at the set and sees something moving in the
Mhm.
underneath the like foliage.
Forest setting, yeah.
Yeah. And so she like moves it and she uncovers the ash man. And the ash man just starts like coming out and shit. And then her little legs just crumple and she's like a little doll
Wax
with
figurine doll.
wax on, like just like her little mortician's wax figurine on the floor. And I was like, ooh, and the way her leg bended.
Yeah, pretty gross. And then like this segment of the movie where like in other parts of it, like it's told through the stop animation in pieces where it's like real her and then the little doll. So like you have her like running. And then like she ends up going and like getting through this door and through this room and then like this little hole, this like little fucking glory hole. And then she like gets to the other side and it's like satin lined with like this gold. And she's trying to like get through, but she can't. But then like the thing grabs her, the Ashman, and then starts to touch her. And it's very much like, okay, well shit, like well, he touched her. And also she was like waxish at that point as he's like feeling up on her.
Yeah. And then he like kind of plops out some weird blob.
Oh yeah, it's the egg.
It's the egg. Yeah. And it's the same imagery from the beginning. And then he feeds it to her.
Yeah. And she just like is like yum.
Yeah, she like opens her mouth immediately. No resistance. She was just like, wow.
Yeah.
And
then
got it in.
And it's just there as he's just like feeling up on her. Not sexually, but just like
kind of caressing her face almost, but like weird meat hands. And then the little girl comes up. We just see a little upside down shot of the girl because you can imagine that she's like on her neck and stuff or on her back. And the little girl just says, I told you so. And we wake up in the hospital.
Yeah. Wake up in the hospital.
Pretty bad cut on her leg.
And the boyfriend, he's kind of he comes up to her and he's basically like, this has gone too far. Like, you need to stop your film or whatever. And he's like, why don't you like let me like, what does he say? Something about like, you know, I could do the music for you and we could do this together or something like that.
Yeah, because he walks in and she's like, if you think I did this on purpose, the answer is no. And he's like, yeah, I just think you're getting too far into this. And then he's like, what if you make like, what if I make music and you make the animations for it and stuff like that? And then she's like, you don't make music. You put on a suit and you go to an office every day. And he was like, what the fuck? He snaps on her.
He does very much because he's like, well, you ain't shit.
Yeah. Bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks.
And he's like, you know what? I'm going to go over there and I'm going to get rid of all your shit and I'm going to delete your whole entire project. And
And she's like, no, wait,
you actually do make music. No, I'm just kidding.
Wait, they
No,
don't love you like I love you.
she's just like, actually, let me delete it myself because I started it, so I need to finish it. Essentially,
Yeah, I need to be the one to end it. And then
yeah.
he's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
we'll do it together.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, okay. And then they're wheeling her along, and I guess mom died at this moment
Mm-hmm.
because she like is there, and they're like, I'm so sorry, Ella. What's
Yeah,
her name?
Ella.
Ella. Sorry.
You were calling her Elle for a while, and I just kind of went with it.
Okay. Sorry.
But it's fine
Ella.
because it really honestly doesn't matter to me.
Well, her name is Ella. Sorry.
It's Ella.
But yeah, they like tell her I'm so sorry, and she's like, oh my god, my mom's dead. Goes in, like holds her little hand, and then that's kind of it, because then all of a sudden she's breaking into the flat with the little girl.
That was it. Yeah, I thought I missed something. I had to go back because I was like, where was the 5 minutes that I missed to
Yeah.
get here?
She was like,
Yeah.
we see her like squeeze her hand, and then the next scene is like the little girl like, are we done here? And
Yeah.
I was like, what?
The
And
little
she's
girl
like
was back.
lifting up the bag. She's like got the bag. She's like, let's go.
I love it. Yeah. And then that's whenever they get, like, you're right, back to the apartment. And then they're in the apartment. And at this point, honestly, you're going to have to take over for me because I think I got distracted with Millie or something because I only came back because I was like, what the fuck? She starts to strangle the little girl. It happens like in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did she
Basically,
say?
the little girl says, we need to find something better than the fox meat. It's all dried up now. And she goes, we need something more bleedy. And then all of a sudden she like sits down and she looks at the little girl. You didn't miss much because she
Yeah.
just it's out of nowhere. She looks at the little girl and she goes, come here. And she's like, why? And she's like, I just want to look at you closer. And then she starts like caressing the little girl's face, like pushing the hair out of her face. And then all of a sudden she just starts strangling her. And
Strangling a child.
Here it like crushes her windpipe because there's a sickening crunch.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a and it's like, oh, that was somebody's little windpipe getting just snapped.
Because that was real murder.
Yeah. And then she just kind of like, after she does it, she just kind of sits there. And then the little girl pops up and she goes, have you got that out of your system now? And I was like, okay, yeah, well, I was right. She definitely is a ghost or a figment of her imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, fine, what happens on the third night? And then the little girl says, it'll be all right. Like, it'll be worth it. And she goes, it's something only you could have made. Great artists always put themselves into their work. And this is where I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Because she starts unwrapping the bandage. And I was like, she's not going to use her own flesh, is she? And then she starts ripping out the stitches. And my next note is, you.
It went on for a good long time.
It was really long.
It went on for a
puts her
long
finger in it, starts pulling it apart, ripping at her skin. And I'm like, dear God, this
ripping
is
out the sutures.
Yeah. They take all that out. And then all of a sudden, fucking Tom and Polly show up. And they just watch her as she like rips out a tendon in like horror. They're watching and they're like, oh my God, what the hell is happening? And so then they're like, we got to get her. We got to just,
we got to get her.
We got to get
we
her.
got to get her. We got to get her.
And get her done.
We got to get her. And so they get her.
They get her.
They pick her up and they try to take her out. But this bitch, she ain't having none of it. She said, no, I'm staying right here. And so
kicks her in the face.
Kicks Polly right in the face. Polly goes flying. And then Tom is just like, what the fuck? And then she just goes, pushes Tom down the stairs. Tom's going doo, 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 down the stairs.
Yup.
Polly's like, Tom! And then she looks at Polly and then she's like, oh no. And then she grabs the camera thing and then she just like whacks Polly. But then Polly tries to like put her thumb in
Finger in
her
the wound.
and then I think that's my bad. Whenever she whacks her with the camera thing, and then she gets the little tripod, the end of it, one of them, and just starts putting it on her windpipe, and then like doesn't even do like a thing, just slowly, as like Polly's just watching her, just like
meticulously, little grind it in. Yeah,
I
it was
thought I was watching.
terrible.
I thought I was watching Terrifier
Yeah,
because of how brutal it was.
it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was something Art would have definitely done. But yeah, so she kills Polly with a camera, and then she goes down to Tom, and you think that maybe she's gonna let him live because she kind of like caresses his face, but then her hands move to his nose and mouth, and she suffocates him.
Like sick, and I guess he was hurt that bad from the fall that he couldn't even really fight her off because she
He
just
fell
like
head first.
he's just holding his nose and mouth.
Yeah.
But he's just
And
like
her like skin on her arms, like whenever his hands finally relaxed from him like dying, um her skin had like the white imprints of his
him like
hands on her.
yeah,
Like he was gripping her hard.
yeah.
But yeah, so she kills them and then she drags their bodies into the room and the little girl says, "This is even better." So she's like starts cutting up Polly.
Yeah.
And she's like, "That part right there," and like digs into Polly's thigh. And then we get Ashman third night, the last like chapter.
And it's spelled wrong.
Yeah, third like I think
Nigsh. Yeah.
Yeah, night was spelled wrong.
Yeah.
There are maggots everywhere. For some
Gross.
reason, they're now the armatures are gigantic now.
She made
Like
them big.
the half the size of her, or 3/4 of the size of her. And we watch as Ashman starts to approach the girl, but then his focus turns to Ella instead.
And then the little girl's like, "What is he doing?"
This isn't what happens.
Yeah.
And so Ella's like, "What do you mean this isn't what happens?" And so Ella goes in, like, she doesn't say that obviously, but she locks herself in a closet. She's losing consciousness too because she's so fucking bloody from her leg that she's like
bleeding out,
like
woozy.
going in and out of consciousness. And he enters and then we get the egg thing again.
Yep. And this is the egg thing. Wait, we get the egg thing again?
We do get a little flash of the egg.
Oh.
And then he starts digging into her face, and it's made of the mortician's wax. And then he starts eating it. He's like, nom, 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 nom. Yummy, yummy,
so
yummy,
good.
yummy.
Yeah.
Wee,
And then
like
but
that
then
little
it's
cat.
like,
You know that little cat that eats the food and it says,
I love the little cat that goes wee 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 wee.
That's what he did with her little mortician's wax face.
And then she ends up, the real life version of her ends up getting in a box, which ends up being a coffin or a coffin box. I don't know. The puppet box.
Oh, well, yeah, the egg. Well, yes.
Oh, am I getting ahead of myself?
Tiny bit. But
Okay.
so Ashman eats it and then the egg hatches or bursts. And then now we're in the forest. Oh, sorry, that was Suki's tail.
It's okay.
And she's walking and she walks up to a house and inside.
Oh, that's right.
She walks into the little dollhouse and she sees the little girl watching the film.
And she's like, I love it.
Yeah. And she sees herself dead on the floor on camera. Yeah. And then there's like haunting choral music all the while. The music was beautiful for this film. And she seems to have found some peace almost because she's completed something of her own. But she goes over to the chest and it's filled with the same fabric from earlier, that same gold satin.
Yeah.
And the little girl says, I love it. She smiles. She steps into the chest, closes herself in it, and that's it. She's the puppet going back into the box.
Mhm. And then it's the end of the movie because then we get the credits.
Yeah, it just kind of, I was like, oh shit, it's
It
done.
just ended. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Um,
wasn't quite ready for it to be. I was expecting something else. Laptop, the clips of the actual film of the Ashman stuff and all that was all shot by me while editing the film. So I was going between London editing and coming home and then shooting animations. And he said it was quite challenging to do all of that.
it's busy.
Yeah, I told you it was a long ass paragraph. It took up my
No,
whole
yeah,
phone
yeah.
screen.
He's very overwhelming. He was very overwhelmed with work, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and so basically, if you didn't understand, like they had to do all the live action shots and then like build a replica where they could use the stop motion puppets. So everything was built up off the ground. And then they had to, but it was a replica. And then that was how they meshed them together. They didn't like have LLA there while they like did all the stop motion of the puppet coming up.
It just
onto the
wouldn't
bed.
make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Until like the stop motion of her like on the leg. I'm guessing they must have had her there for that because that was the mixture of the live action and everything. But
Yeah.
Not
so much. Well, what's the next fun fact?
It's also very long.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Effects artist Dan Martin describes the process of building and detailing the animation puppets. A quote, they're quite clean in the fabrication at the start. And then because it's a layered process, as we build it up further and further, we start to put those levels of sort of schmutz into them. Again, that's mostly ground silicon glass. We didn't want to affect the opacity.
Mm-hmm.
And then between every layer, you have to make sure that everything's still moving and then you haven't blocked any joints or anything like that. And then he says, and then again, because the character Ella in the film world has been building these herself, she's been binding this stuff around an armature with wire. So we did use very thin aluminum wire in the manufacture of it. But again, making sure that when we cross joints, we weren't inhibiting movement or anything like that. Dan says that the artists creating the puppets were forced to come up with materials that could replicate the look, texture, and movement of what the puppets were supposed to be created from. Quote, making sure that we could create those surfaces in a way that we could read on camera, but also move as those things would move. We didn't want anything to delaminate or split as it would if those materials were real. So there was a mix of sculpture and fabrication all the way through. Like heads, anything with detail would be sculpted and cast, but then a lot of the body work would actually be fabricated into the process to be able to get that organic feel.
That's a lot. It's a lot of detail.
I know.
No. I don't mean by like, I mean like how they put so much work into it.
Yeah. I mean, and like building I just think back to like Wallace and Gromit, because that's like claymation, stop motion kind of idea. And like the amount of time it must have taken to do all that.
Like Tim
insane.
Burton and like all those movies, like the, Nightmare and Corpse Bride. Yeah. That's a lot.
It's just wild.
And even like, wasn't Bob the Builder claymation? Like all of this, like.
Yeah, he's all like, I think it is maybe stop motion because he is like a felt material.
They move like, I just remember them moving like very like that.
Very stiff.
Yeah. But yeah. What's the next one? What's the next one?
There's two more. Part of the design concept with the animation puppets was to make them look like they were made from materials that Ella would realistically have access to. This design aesthetic would realize itself in other forms. While the Wax Girl puppet would simply have holes poked in the head for eyes, the similar advertising Wax Girl puppet that Ella sees in Polly's studio would have eyeballs. Effects artist Dan Martin explained, we had very basic eyes for the advertising version, and we wanted the eyes to become more and more realistic as she continued. Those eyes were white spheres hand rolled into an eye form. And then I paint them and we'd build them up with layers of clear resin. There's no positive mold for those other than that we originally got the white spheres out of. The progression of the puppet eyes were simple holes to rolled balls of clay to realistic eyes would also make its way to the design of the Ashman character. the idea is that by the end, the Ashman has harvested eyes. Oh, so we were copying eyes from the performers, from the other actors. And there's a fox eye in him that sort of grows with him as well.
Huh.
Interesting.
Okay.
So he harvested the eyes. Because
Was that
that's
the whole
right. They did
point?
start off with just little holes for eyes. But then like once like the wax girl puppet gets the meat added to her, she gets like clear resin eyes and stuff like that.
I guess I didn't really pay attention to that. That makes sense.
Yeah, I do
Sure.
feel like I could heavily benefit from watching this movie again.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of like tiny details and things that he
That
put
we
in there.
miss.
The director,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
especially, I mean, this was his first feature. Like, this was the Robert Morgan's first movie, like ever, like debut. So,
Yeah.
there's a lot in here. And I got it honestly before we get into the next one, and then like another one, like it got a 7.4, like out of 10, and a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. So a
Oh,
lot of
wow.
people liked it.
Yeah. The last one says at one point in the film, Ella finds a job working at a commercial animation studio where her boyfriend Tom's sister works. Earlier in the film, Tom's sister Polly had visited Ella and saw her spooky forest set in wax puppets. When Ella begins working at the animation studio, she discovers that Tom. Okay, we know this. Tom's sister has stolen Ella's storyline and forest set for a commercial project. Ella tears apart the commercial set and puppet and flees. Dan Martin said there's a version of Wax Girl, the precursor to Meat Girl, on the advertising set. Talking about Ella, he continues, when the character sees her pieces, her aesthetic being stolen, we made a puppet that could be torn apart. That was a custom armature.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Just so that way she could destroy it,
Yeah.
essentially, for the scene. Yeah.
Well, that's all the fun facts I got.
They were
very wordy.
They were not so fun, but very factual.
Suki! She just knocked down one of my candelabras. I
She
swear to
said,
God, if
"Wow."
it broke, I'm going to be so pissed. It's a vintage cherub candelabra.
It didn't break. It didn't break.
I hope not.
Okay. We're going to do quickly our reviews, and you know what? I'm going to give it a 2.5.
2.5.
2.5 from this BooBaes. And that's not to say that it's probably not a good film. It probably is a really great film. Probably is it's honestly really good at stop motion. Like there's a lot of good stuff.
Oh,
in
yeah.
there.
The stop motion animation was really incredible.
Yeah. It was from perspective of I can tell someone with a lot of good talent made this. Someone with probably a lot of really smarts made it. But it just kind of lost me in the kind of almost unnecessary grotesqueness of it all. And then also it did feel a lot of times like you said, a fever dream. So it's just kind of and movies like that sometimes they do serve a purpose, but sometimes I'm kind of I am missing a bit of structure, if that makes sense, because it's just kind of all over the place. And then if anything, it's just kind of almost triggering you emotionally, visually, audibly, and then it just kind of and then like you said, it just ends. It never really. And then I'm just to me, I'm just wait, okay, but then it just, at least it's one of those movies where it definitely leaves a lot for you to think and interpret and kind of, I guess, maybe take it into however you want your own spin of it. Because now I'm kind of also I'm just very confused on well, who was recording her, and if she was dead filming herself, but then the little girl's watching her, but then she never really got in a box, right? She's just laying in an apartment building dead. Yeah. And everything else was just metaphor, essentially. Yeah. I don't like that. I don't like it. because it's not real. Like, it's nothing. Like, I mean, it is real, but like, it didn't actually happen, and it's just basically like she just lost it and just killed these people essentially. Um, Granted, they they didn't seem that great. Tom seemed kind of half decent, to be honest, but um, yeah, I don't know. It just a 2.5 just because of it overall just kind of it just didn't win me. Like I just didn't like I was just waiting for it to just like kind of like, all right, I'm gonna like really like fall in love with like the story and like this is why it all makes sense now. But then even like whenever the mom like died and then the little girl being like, okay, are we done now? All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Like it kind of even felt there like a lot of the unresolved stuff with the mom, like it was just kind of like a throwaway almost with what was happening there. Um, but that's it, folks. 2.5 for me. I don't want to like shit on it too much more.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was still cool. Like visually it was still really cool, and like it had some really like the stop motion parts were honestly like the coolest parts to me. It's just even then, like whenever like she was like he was touching on her and she was like out of the little hole in the wall situation,
Mhm.
like I don't know, maybe I was just triggered by it. It was just a little bit weird. It was just a bit like grody. That's all.
Yeah.
Just a bit grody.
Yeah. No,
But
I can see that.
you're gonna give it 5 stars. I already know.
No, I'm not. I think I will give it a 3.5.
3.5.
Yeah, I do think I liked it a little bit more than you did. Just because the conceptual stuff and the metaphorical stuff doesn't bother me. I actually appreciated that. Even though it wasn't real, and like her getting back into the box, like at the end, I really appreciated that. I was like, that's nice. And so I really liked that part. There were some scenes that were very hard for me to watch. The digging into the leg, the fact that the puppets were made out of meat was a little gross to me. Like you said, you thought it might be. It was. I mean, it didn't like make me like be like, meat is murder. I hate this movie. Like, but it still made me be like, that's kind of nasty.
Yeah.
And so, which I feel like is a pretty normal and valid reaction to have. But yeah, so that part just kind of grossed me out. And then I don't know. I thought Ella did a phenomenal job of acting the whole way through. I thought all of the
My bad.
acting
My
did a
bad.
really good job. Like everyone in it did a great job of acting.
No,
And
I agree. I agree.
yeah. And so for that like reason alone, and then the stop motion, it was very artistic and they did a great job. I just really think that they knocked it out of the park, and it was disgusting, and I liked how disgusting it was. I think.
I feel like you want to give it more than a 3.5.
No, because there are some bits where I was just like, I still stick by the fact that it was a fever dream, that I don't really
Yeah.
know what happened.
Yeah.
There were so many parts where I'm like I really do feel like I need to watch it again and all in one sitting without taking notes, so that way I can like fully digest it. Because there's just so much that happened where I'm like, I don't really, it was incredibly art house, very artsy, and
Yeah.
there's just a lot that I guess went over my head.
And I think that's where I take my issue with it, I guess, is one is it does give that it gives almost a bit pretentious, like where it's
Yeah.
just like we have to kind of like, well, and also too, and you know what, I think what turned me off, and I'm thinking about it the more I think about it, and I just kind of almost didn't want to like verbalize it out loud, is just the fact that like on the second night he touches her, and like that I think kind of just triggered me a bit. And
Yeah.
also like for it to kind of like, I'm glad I never even went there, but also like it just almost felt like let's just frivolously put SA in here, but like not even like really like, because we're
Address
just
it.
gonna, yeah, we're just gonna frivolously like put SA. And
And yeah,
but then
see,
it
I
but
kind of
then it not be
imagined him
something.
like running in and like tagging her and then running off.
Okay.
I think because
See,
my brain didn't want to go there, but
yeah.
I can easily see how it would go there. It did make me uncomfy whenever she was like, and he touches her. I was like, what do you mean? But
Well, and also the little girl, and then like it's just like there's a lot of context there that just
yeah,
makes it seem like, but then it also like never even kind of even going there essentially, or it also just kind of it
I
felt
mean, I think
like
almost if it had gone there, maybe it would have made more sense.
exactly. And that's why I was like, well, then we can address like an actual trauma or a something or
Yeah,
something. It just felt more like, well, this little girl was just saying something to be shocking. Like, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
yeah,
But um but yeah, I think that's maybe where it just kind of, and that's just more personal, just personal taste preferences and shit. So but yeah,
yeah,
I think that's why as soon as it started kind of going there and then it didn't really, and then I was just kind of like, well, okay. um
yeah.
yeah.
I think I liked it, but I also didn't like it at the same time. Like there were parts of me that were like, no. And then there were other parts of me that were like, yes,
Yeah, it's
this
probably a
night.
lot of people's opinion on it, but
Yeah.
then overall it got a 93 on Rotten Tomatoes and everything, so
Yeah.
you
I
know.
was hoping the fun facts would illuminate us a little bit more, but they didn't. Um, but yeah, I just think 3.5.
And 2.5, so that makes it a 3.
3.
Okay,
Yeah.
solid 3. And we are not in the Rogue Media Network studio, but they are taking care of us today, thankfully accommodating us and recording us at this time of hour today. As you can tell, even from our videos, we look so dark right now.
It's a little
Uh,
dark now.
a little dark, but you can find our podcast and a lot of other podcasts, and they're still churning out new podcasts. It's like, OMG, how are they still churning out new podcasts? Which is like, that's so awesome. I'm just like, every time there's a new podcast, I'm like, dang,
They
everybody got a
did it again.
podcast.
Yeah,
I'm like, we all got podcasts out here. I'm like,
I
who's
know.
listening to who? I gotta listen to you. You gotta listen to me. And so yeah, you can listen to all of those at roguemedianetwork.com.
That's right. And then you can also listen on your favorite podcasting platforms, but the biggest two would be
Apple.
and also Spotify. But wherever you do listen, don't forget to.
Rate, review, like, and subscribe.
That's right, because that's the only way we can get ahead in this world. And then if you want to reach out to us, let us know your thoughts on stop motion, if you think it deserves a 4.5 or higher, or if you agree with us. Please let us know by reaching out to us on our one social media platform, which would be Instagram, and that is at
BOOBAES podcast, because we're your BooBaes, not your BooBabes.
That's right. And I did want to go ahead and take the time to apologize for us ghosting y'all for 2 weeks. We had a lot. I have no filter and I'm an open book. So we just had a lot of stuff happen, mainly me. I was in a car accident and then was also moving into a house. So that's why my backgrounds looked different. And then recently, and Josh doesn't know this, but I did have a dear friend of mine pass away.
I'm
And
sorry, I
so,
did not know that.
yeah, I know it just happened a few days ago and I haven't really processed it yet.
Mhm.
And so Chris Kickline, this one's for you. He was my former color guard instructor in in college. And then he was also a good friend of mine who would make all of my kids' costumes and stuff. So, and he'd always greet me by, "Hey, Diva." So he was a real light in this world. And it really hit me this past weekend when we were at the color guard contest, and they gave an announcement for him and had a moment of silence for him. And that was when I was like, oh shit, he's really dead.
Yeah.
And so that was tough, but yeah, so his services happen on a Sunday, so it won't affect this at all, but we're back now. But yeah,
now you're like, well, I'm back, but I'm mourning, and I'm not okay, but I'm back.
I'm not okay, but I'm back. I'm a little bit cryy right now, but yeah, it was a very big shock. He was a very healthy person, so for him to have passed, it was well, I don't know what happened, honestly.
Yeah. Well,
but
just puts it in perspective that like me or you or anybody, like we could all literally just like die.
I know.
In a second.
Yeah, I thought about that today, and I was
super terrifying.
I like literally thought, like, what would I do if Josh died? Like, I would lose my mind. And so don't die, please.
No, yeah, we won't think about it right now. But it's a lot. But
what are we gonna cover next?
Let's cover something that is maybe we've been covering kind of a lot of like recent movies. Maybe we should throw it back to something, you know?
Yeah.
Let me dig up and you dig up something, and maybe we can come up with an option or two, and we'll like just decide which one we want to do from whose we think would be more
or maybe we can post something on our Instagram too.
Battle of the classics or something like that, and then they can choose. Yeah,
that would be fun. Okay, we'll do that.
Yeah, I'm like, there has to be something too as well that we haven't necessarily covered. But anyways, yes, we will do that, and until then, is there anything else that we need to add?
Nope. If we don't know what we're doing next, then until next time, you guys.
Bye, baes.
Bye, baes.
BooBaes.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.